Okay, last time I talked about batter boards, one thing I didn't mention, the lower you can get your batter board, the better. The higher you make it, the more apt it is to uh, sway and move a little bit. So closer to the ground is better. Today I'd like to talk about concrete a little bit. The last episode at the very end, I showed a hole that we dug for the foundation. I'd like to talk a little bit about the concrete foundation today. Generally, when the design of the foundation is you have a foundation wall, could be a basement or a crawl space. Generally speaking, whatever the width of your wall is, the width of your foundation is generally 2 times the width of your wall. And generally, it is as thick as the wall is. So in other words, if you had an 8-inch wall, you would have a 16-inch wide foundation, and it would generally be 8 inches thick. Now, generally, with the foundation this small, you would have 2 continuous reinforcing rods. Generally, a number 4 bar is big enough for a foundation like this. Sometimes you may have a foundation that has a step in it, generally for brick. If you did this, your brick ledge would be here and you'd lay your bricks just like so. And generally, if that's the case, you'd make that a 12-inch wall with a 24-inch wide foundation and a 12-inch thick. Okay, in addition to your width and your depth and the considerations there, you would have generally bars coming from your wall down in to your concrete footer to fasten that wall to the foundation. And I have been required at times to put a keyway in that foundation. To do that, you would just hang it, I think, a 22 degree angle on each side of the 2x4. You'd run it through your skill saw. Okay. Now, another thing about the design of a footer, you generally have a drain tile around this footer, and it's covered with gravel. You'd have a gravel covering to get the water away. Now, as far as I am concerned, a new innovation to footer drainage, the thing that we use on our houses nowadays, is a Forma-Drain. Now, what that is, it's a plastic concrete form that we put to pour concrete in, and it has perforations in it. They're all down the sides here. And these perforations let the water come in from the soil. You still have your gravel fill out here. You'd have gravel fill over your footer to let the water seep through. And there's generally a 4-inch bleeder tile that goes in between these forms. And then somewhere inside there will be a crock with a sump pump in it, and you run a tube from your footer over to this crock with your sump pump. Another thing that we generally do with our footers is we put 4 inches of stone, this would be stone, onto our dirt where we dig out. And then in the middle, we would have piers to support our girder. Okay. Don't worry about some of these terms yet. I'll talk about girder. I'll talk about framing members somewhere in the future. Now, so I'll draw a plan view of a footer. Okay. You would have now let's say that we're going to have okay. Generally speaking, we make these piers 3 foot by 3 foot. We start in the center of our foundation and we go 8 foot. Center to center on these piers, out in the center to support our girder. Now, the main reason I wanted to talk about concrete is one of the functions that we as carpenters have that you're rarely taught on the job is how to figure concrete. Concrete is sold by the cubic yard. Cubic yard. Now what that means is a yard is 3 foot, so a cubic yard of concrete is 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. Okay, now, so here's what you've got. If each one of these is a foot, 1 cubic yard equals 27 cubic feet. A yard of concrete weighs 4,400 pounds. So let's say that our structure here will be 26 foot by 46 foot. That's our pretty much standard what we use. So if we have, that's 1.33 feet wide on our footer, and it is 0.67 feet deep. Now all we have to do is figure our length. Okay, now if it's 46 feet and our wall is 8 inches thick, our footer is 16 inches wide, 1'4", that would be 46 foot 8 inches long, and we'd have 2 of those. So that would be 93 foot 4 inches on our 2 lengths added together. We would have 26 feet minus 1 foot. It'd be 25 foot on both of these. So you'd have 25 and 25 is 50. So our total length of footer would be 143 feet and 4 inches. So you would take that 143 lineal feet of footer. I'm going to erase the math now. .33. 4 inches equals 0.33 feet. Okay, now it's 8 inches thick, so that's 0.67 inches. You multiply the length. Well, let's go with the width first. Width is 1.33 feet. 3 3s are 9, 9, 9, 12, 4, 9, 9, 9, 2, 4, 3, 3, 3, 4, 1. Okay, we got 4 decimal places. 9, 8, carry 1s. 19, 3 is 22, carry 2. 2, 4, 13, 16, carry your 1. 5, 6, 7, 10, carry your 1 is 9. We have a surface area of 190.6289 square feet. Okay, now let's use that number and multiply it times the thickness. And in easier terms, let's see, I would cut it off here. I just cut it off at 0.6, 190.6 feet. This is concrete we're figuring. So I would multiply that times 2/3. That's a lot easier than using all those decimals. 2 times 190.6 equals divided by 3 equals 1, 2, 7, and I wouldn't even worry about the 2 if I was figuring for concrete. So you're going to have 127 square feet just in the lineal footage of your footer. Now, since the cubic yard equals 27 cubic feet, I would divide that 127 point whatever be 06. So divide that by 27. That would be 4, be almost 5. 4 times 7, 28, carry your 2. 4 times 2 is 8, and 2 is 10. So you'd have 4.190 would be about 8. So I would call that 5 cubic yards in the lineal footer alone. Now you've got piers here. Generally you'd pour all this at one time. So each pier is 3 foot times 3 foot equals 9 square feet times 2/3. 9 times 2 is 18, divided by 3 is 6. 6 cubic feet. And each one of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 30 cubic feet. That's another 1.5 yards, okay? So you had, that don't sound right. Oh, wait a minute. Each one of these would take 1 yard. And 1.5 yards, let's call it. You want some waste, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 yards. So if I was going to pour this footer and the piers, I'd order 10 yards. Now, there's a lot of things like sidewalks and driveways. Say that sidewalk is 4 inches thick. You could take 27 and divide it by 3, or multiply it by 3, and you get 81 square feet. So all you have to do is figure your square feet of sidewalk and divide it by 81, and that gives you your yards. Figuring concrete is one of the things that we have to do as carpenters. Most people use a calculator nowadays. I was old school, so I've always figured it by hand. Interesting story, one of the old superintendents I worked for years ago, when he ordered concrete, he'd come out of the trailer and he'd say, look at it. And he said, well, that's about a truckload. He might have done some figuring in the back room somewhere that he didn't show us, but he just ordered a truckload here, a truckload there, maybe 5 trucks, but he had always hit it pretty good. So good luck with figuring concrete. That's one of the things that we do. That's one of the things that I haven't seen done on most of these YouTube videos that I watch. So hopefully this is the kind of thing that I want to get into with my videos, is how to figure this stuff out. Okay, thank you very much.